Yep.
All right. Hi, everyone. This is Sean from Roxxem presenting in the Manie Musicale webinar for Roxxem. Appreciate everyone joining and appreciate Brandon Wilson for being here today. Just very quickly, in terms of today's agenda, we'll do a very quick overview of Roxxem, just a minute, 30 seconds of that. We have a guest star, Mr. Brandon Wilson, who's a French teacher who'll talk a lot about his money experience as well as his work with Roxxem. And through that lens of, actually seeing a teacher participate, how he most effectively uses it in his classroom. We'll talk about his participation in money. We'll do a quick demo of some of those features that Mr. Wilson talks about, how to prepare for the contest, some subscription details, and then we'll dive right into questions. Great. So just a high-level intro overview of what Roxxem is. So we're a platform that helps language teachers turn any song into a live classroom game or activity. The whole goal with Roxxem is for you guys to have engaging content with a bunch of activities that are really effective in terms of classroom learning, but also engagement. And so you can search a bunch of songs by grammar, vocab, and difficulty, play a bunch of live classroom games aligned to those songs and videos. We have homework, auto assignments, auto grading, all of that good stuff, as well as student data tracking. And a little bit about us, we were actually created by a French teacher and a Chinese teacher. And so the two components that are really important in our mission is number one, ensuring that this is a platform where students are actually learning. It's not just a highly engaging tool where students are addicted because it's fun, but they are actually getting something out of it. So in terms of the pedagogy, that's something that's really core to what we're building. The second component is we understand how uh, challenging it is for teachers in terms of prioritizing and balancing different tools, time. And so this tool is really meant to be something that's accessible to all teachers. We'll talk a little bit more later on our subscriptions, but even if the subscription isn't right for you, all of our songs, all of our games are absolutely free. And so we'd love to have you on our platform, engaging and learning. And so that is Roxham. Let's jump right into Mr. Brandon Wilson. Thank you so much for joining. You've been such a superstar and champion for us over the years. Could you share a little bit, just as a quick intro of who you are, how long you've been doing money, and just share a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah. So thanks for having me, first of all. I'm super excited. Love Roxham and always loving being a part of this kind of stuff and sharing with other educators. I'm a French teacher. I currently work at Brampton Centennial Secondary School. I teach French immersion there. This semester, I'm doing grade 10 French immersion, grade 11 French immersion. And Manie, I've been a part of it since my teaching career. Now, I am a younger teacher. I've been in the teaching profession for 4 years full time now. And every year I've done it. A colleague showed it to me right away that first year, and I was obsessed ever since. And then a couple years ago, I found out about Roxxem, and it became an additional easy plug-in to the Manie Musicale stuff that I was already doing. So yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, we're so grateful for all the time and support that you've been able to provide us. And it's awesome that you've been able to start with money, basically at the onset of your teaching career. Why do you do money? Why has it stuck with you? Why did you start so early in your career, and why have you been so excited about it over the years?
Yeah, I think you pick up right away as a teacher that students really love learning through their interests and their passions. And music is naturally like no one doesn't like music. Everyone loves music. And obviously within French music, there's so many different types of music. And so you're gonna find something for everyone there. And so I think it's a really easy way to like integrate those interests and the passion of students. When we talk about language learning, like all the time. We're talking about like learn through media, like watch shows, like look up stuff that you love and just dive into the content of that. And so I just think naturally music is such an integration to that. And so it made sense. Like it clicked right away.
Amazing. I think that's sounds really just kind of spot on in terms of being able to get students excited and continuing their learning with French, right? And beyond just
Yeah.
requirements or beyond just even in high school, right? continuing to learn even beyond then. So digging into some of the details with Manie, how do you typically start Manie or Franco Manie every single year? How do you introduce songs to your classes and students? What typically goes on in perhaps the weeks prior, as well as kind of the introductory days in the tournament?
Yeah, for sure. So at the beginning, like we're maybe thinking a month before Manny, like it's coming up in March. And so we're giving the songs and I'm starting to introduce them slowly but surely. And so I'd say, and I'm sure this will come up later as we talk about how I'm integrating some of the Roxxem stuff into it, but I'm starting off my class just by, as they're coming in, playing a song every day so that they get intro to it. And so, like, to be honest, maybe that's not a ton of time to be doing it, but it kind of gets them going and thinking and hearing the songs. And then once we get into that, like, actual Manie Musicale, okay, here's the tournament, every day we're voting. That's going to be a little more extensive in terms of my time. But just to introduce it, I play it as they come in, they get settled. And then once the bell goes, okay, they've heard a little bit of the song. And then I kind of give them a voting sheet card and I have them like rate the song, what they think of the song, and give an adjective to describe the song. And that's kind of built into a lesson that I'll do previously. But then after that, okay, they've heard the Manny song, they've been able to vote on it, think what they like about it. And then I hop in right away. Almost every day I'm doing this, a Roxham whack-a-word. And so I'm sure we'll show that later, but I'm having them use one of the learning tools within Roxham, a fun game to kind of engage them with some of the vocab. And it's kind of just like a little sprinkle of like, here's the song, here's some vocab you're learning, you're starting to hear it. And then once I get into the actual like Manny month, I'll spend a little more time like diving into that vocab specifically. And I'd say using more of the like learning side of Roxham and the Manny vocab to kind of support student learning.
Amazing. I love it. So I heard, introductory, just playing the song as students listen, walk in, especially in introductory weeks. Then playing some whack-a word, and then really digging deeper into the songs later on throughout the curriculum. Um, do you do other, I guess, while you're doing, you're in the middle of money, what do your class periods typically look like during this time period?
Yeah. So it depends class to class. Like sometimes like I've taught core, I've taught open, and now I'm teaching French immersion. And so I mean it works for each class, but some classes I find like I really want to be like extensive on the vocab and like this is going to be a class that really could pick up on some new French words. Whereas some classes, like sometimes some of my French immersion classes is like they have a good comprehension of a bunch of the words. It's kind of more of those niche or specific to maybe the cultural language or whatever it might be that they need to learn. And so what I'll do often is within those classes where I'm like, hey, I want this to be more vocab extensive, that's where I've used Roxxem like assignments and actual like the lesson slides provided to kind of dive into vocab with them. And so if I were to give you a breakdown of like the time of my class, I'd still say I'm devoting like a chunk of my class, not my whole class,
Mhm.
to the Mani side of things. And it would be like that first 20 minutes of my class to go through some stuff. And then sometimes if I've assigned an assignment, it'll be like, okay, here's a class assignment that when you finish your work, you can then work on this. And like I think teachers are always looking for those tools that we can kind of like back pocket and be like, oh my gosh, this student is done their work, and so what am I going to do right now? And it's just it's a relief to be able to be like, hey, go work on the assignments so that you don't need to do it at home, for example, or be like, hey, go do this extension activity because you're done. So that's been super cool to have something that I can just pull out whenever I need to. But yeah, for timeline, I'd say like 20 minutes start of class most days is what I'm devoting to it.
I love it. I love it. And before we dive into some of the demo of some of the features that you talked about in Roxham, what would you say is the one thing that your students love the most during Mani, or an activity that you guys do in class?
Um, I'd say I just find that like kids are competitive. Like I'm competitive too. I think naturally competition kind of gets students engaged. And so when you think about the tournament itself and wanting to be the furthest and guess which songs are going to do well, that's exciting in itself. But then like add on some of the games that are provided within Roxham, it's like okay, well now I'm competing with my classmates,
Mhm.
and then take it a step further, like they can get scores and like they can see within their school, not even just my class, but class to class, what students are have the highest score. And so it becomes this like I want to outdo my friend who wants to do my outdo my other friend, and it's just like the stacking on stacking, stacking of building like hey, let's get this going. Let's keep trying to get a higher score. So that's just fun. The competitive side of things, I think, is where I see them kind of like dive into it the most.
Yeah, no, I love that thought. We'll hold it at we'll talk a little bit more about the contest in just a second. But I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we'll dive into some of the features that Brandon just talked to us about. So, this is the Roxxem platform. So, a few things that we just talked about. We'll talk about some of the introductory videos. We'll talk about some of the live classroom games, and then we'll talk about some of the homework assignments. So for Manie Musicale, this is the platform with the songs for the playlists. Um, for Roxxem, the idea is that we're able to take a video and be able to have these fun live Kahoot style classroom games, slides and activities, flashcards, quizzes, all sorts of things to really make it super engaging. Brandon, do you have a favorite song so far? Or do you have a who do you think is
So
gonna win?
So that's a great question. Honestly, so far we've just started. But out of the two first ones that we've done XLD now, Chapeau. I've taken a look at some of the other ones. But definitely XLD now seem to be
Okay.
kind of likable.
Yep.
So it's in that top seed for a reason, you know. But
Absolutely.
we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Well, it's the good thing about this year's competition is that there's no gims, so there isn't a for sure favorite, which
That's
is great.
right. That's facts.
All right. So for this video and as well as all of the other songs, this is the song page for Roxxem. A few things that I'll show you. You of course have the music video. Within each of the music video and translations, you'll have the transcription, translations, things like dynamic dictionaries for students to be able to dive into the lyrics. You can play the song. There'll also be pauses for comprehension questions, vocabulary questions that will pop up from time to time. So, a really quick and easy way to be able to introduce the songs to your students right off the bat. The second mention for every single one of these songs are our live classroom games. So if you look up here at games and activities, we have four different primary games that are meant to kind of span the gamut of all the things that you would want to learn while learning a language. So Whack a Word is meant to be a listening game. Sentence Snake is a listening slash sentence construction game. We have Vocabulary Harvest, which is a vocab game, and Quiz Ninja. I'll just dig into Whack a Word just as an example for this webinar sake. But the purpose of this game is really it's a fill in the blank activity where students listen to the song. There's missing words and vocabulary or phrases represented by blue circles. And so what I'll do is play the music video. I don't think the sound, let me actually turn the sound on so you can hear it as well. Um,
Yeah, and just while you get that set up, like
yeah.
what you're showing right now is exactly what I'll use at the beginning of my class. So that like that video, I'll play it through your site. I'll play the video so they can see the translations below as
Mhm.
they're coming into class if they want to engage. And then this is the game, exact game that we'll hop into often at the beginning of my class.
Yeah. Are you able to hear the audio? Okay, perfect. So I'm just going to play a little bit of it, and you'll get a sense. There's streaks, scores, power-ups, all sorts of things to make things exciting. And so we'll just dive in for a little bit.
J'ai rien de fou, mais quand tu me regardes, tout d'un coup je deviens génial. T'as ce pouvoir de me faire sentir extraordinaire et un peu fou, le plus drôle de la terre. Je me sens plus cool quand tu me regardes. T'as ce pouvoir de me faire sentir extraordinaire.
I finally got one there.
Well,
So
you started with hard mode.
yeah, no, just to get a sense of all of the features here. One feedback
Awesome.
that we've gotten in previous sessions is that Hey, this seems to go really fast, seems to be really challenging for beginner students. This is the hard mode with four different answer choices. You also have the ability to slow down the song as well. So really fast songs. For example, yesterday's webinar, I did Papa Ute, and teachers are like, this is hard for me. So we played it again at like 70, 80% mode, and that seemed to help a lot.
Yeah,
Um,
I'll often do like as I'm introing, as I get into Mani later, I'll do the harder mode, but as I'm introing, I'll do the easy with only the two options. So it's just like a quick click. And then like even today, I did the song Chapeau, and man, those like French like language, sorry, Canadian French like folky like songs are just driving. It's like, ah, try to so I slowed it down a little bit too. But
yep,
it
yep.
works great.
So that's the gist of this game. It's very quick, very fast paced, and students tend to really enjoy it because of how quick and easy some of the features are. All of our games or have the feature to do it in a live Kahoot style fashion. So when I click this tab as a live game, you and your students can all compete at the same time, listening to the song at the same time. So if everyone's on their separate Chromebooks, everyone can be competing in the same leaderboard. There's an active leaderboard, so you'll be able to see, oh, Brandon's in first place, Sean's in second place. And so there's a very live kind of competitive aspect. And throw in the power ups, throw in the streaks that makes the kind of the gameplay and the engagement within the class be able to skyrocket. So that is one of the games called Whack a Word. All of these games, again, are absolutely free for all teachers. All you need to do is create an account along with the song introductions. The next component that Brandon talked about were slides and handouts. So what if I instead of spending 5, 10 minutes on watching the music video with some of the interactive features and without just playing one whack-a-word game, what if I want to spend 30 minutes, 40 minutes, or a whole class period really digging into the lyrics of the song and the content and the culture? What I'm able to do, so I'll click into resources. You'll have a bunch of different customizable sheets, but you'll also have 3 levels of lesson slides. So the idea behind these lesson slides is that it's meant to take you 80% of the way there. So you as a teacher can download these slides, edit them, customize them to underscore the content that you want to be teaching, rearrange slides, do all sorts of things. But at the base level, this is an example beginner slide. You'll have about the artist with basic scaffolding, some key vocabulary, key phrases from the song, discussion questions, chat mets, and additional components at different levels as well. And Brandon, you mentioned that you use some of these slides sometimes.
Yeah, they're great. And I mean, I love like I'm all about the Google Workspace, so the natural integration. I just pop that up, can easily add it to Classroom, add it to my own drive, make my own copy, change some things if I need to. Yeah, and like and also like if I ever was feeling like, you know what, today I want to do this on paper, or I know my Wi-Fi is going down
Yep.
at the school level, but I can use my data to quickly get some things going, right? Like I might be able to print out the sheets instead. So
Yep.
it's just great to have it available.
Yeah, absolutely. So those are the slides and handouts. The next component that Brandon mentioned was the assignments. So for all of our features, our 4 games that we mentioned, we have additional components like flashcards. Um, we have tests that we can dig into vocabulary questions, comprehension questions. All of these items can be assigned, tracked within our classes feature, auto graded, and can have data downloads for you to be able to incorporate that content into or the results of those grades into your grade book. So just as an example, this is a Spanish class, but you can assign specific songs with specific games. So for example, No Se Va, a Spanish song for Whack a Word, getting your students to play that specific game. You can have students learn through our song lessons mode, specific lyrics as well, including the vocabulary. Or we have an option called a sandbox assignment, which enables you to encourage your students to spend 15, 30 minutes a week exploring Roxxem, engaging with French content, and them being able to select the videos, the music that they're interested in. This really helps empower students, gets them more engaged because they're able to choose the content that they want to consume. And so this is a really popular feature amongst teachers that we see. And especially during Manie, when they can really pick and choose the songs that they like amongst the 16 songs, it's something that's really, really popular. Awesome. So I think that covers most of the main features of our songs, our activities. Of course, there's a lot more songs, there's a lot more activities, and but I think that covers some of the biggest components. So Brandon, the next question that I wanted to ask you is, your classes always performed really well in the Roxham contests. Like they're always topping leaderboards. I think they won last like Franco Mani, and then they came in second or third in Mani last year.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about the contests and why you like them so much?
Yeah, again, I think it goes back to that competitive nature that a lot of us have. And so like, yeah, naturally they want to compete. They go home at night, they'll check rocks them, they'll be like, where are we in the standings, right? Or even like thinking like for themselves against their peers, like, oh, how am I doing against my friend here? And so sometimes it'll be so funny too, where in my Google Classroom on the stream, I'll get a notification. I'm like, I'm not checking this till the morning. And then I see students are going back and forth in the comments being like, we're this close. Okay, everyone, we gotta do this. And sometimes students will talk about like strategy and like, hey, let's try to do this one this way, or I recommend you try this, or try to complete this song this way. Which is just so cool. Like it adds a whole collaboration to the class. I taught a split class last year, and it was great because like naturally the students wanted to like separate into their grades. And this is one of those activities that brought them all together. So
Yeah, I
that was
love
super
that.
cool to see and be a part of. But yeah, I think naturally, like as someone who's enjoying it just as much as them, I'm just encouraging them and saying, hey, look, if we get this many points tonight, we could be in this place. And sometimes I'll be like, okay, if we all commit to doing this song, this game, we can get
Mhm.
these points. And yeah, I think that just is just so fun.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that overview, and I love that how engaged and kind of unified toward this singular goal of trying to win the competition that your
Mhm.
students always get so engaged in. Um, I'll share a little bit more on the tournament itself. So alongside the Manie Musicale, the tournament that's happening, with the votes and one song ultimately becoming the winner. The Roxham hosts our own contest where within all 16 of the songs, we have the four games aligned to each of the songs. And we have a student tournament and a classroom tournament. The student tournament, we're just whatever student gets the highest scores on all 16 of the songs for all four of the games will have live leaderboards here, and students will be able to compete one-on-one kind of globally throughout the world to be at the top of this leaderboard. The classes feature, as Brandon mentioned, is really to pit different classes against other classes, where you can see how my class is ranking within both the school that you register for, but also just kind of other classes around the world. So a really exciting way to encourage your students to go above and beyond, be able to, yeah, compete in these student leaderboards as well as the classroom leaderboards as well. Um, so this is the tournament page. You saw the leaderboard page. This is the high level graphic, and all the information that you'll need to know in terms of how my class is doing, how the leaderboard looks, how the bracket is going, and all the games aligned to it are all on this contest page here. Um, Great. I think that's what we wanted to cover for contests. Just kind of wrapping up, Brandon, in your experience in Manie, typically how much time do you spend doing Manie in a class period? And how, what's worked well, what hasn't worked well? Any kind of learnings for other Manie teachers?
Yeah, I think so. similar to what I said, like right now I'm starting it and it's very like teaser, like here's a little bit at the beginning of class. But I still like devoting that front load of the class to some time to it. Again, I say I wouldn't like go past 20 minutes right away. Sometimes as we get into some of those final songs where it's like, okay, these are the songs that we've really like committed to and want to go all the way, that's where I might throw in like a longer lesson with some stuff. But in terms of timing, one thing I do want to mention, um, is that in high school sometimes, and I maybe this isn't as much in elementary to be honest, but in high school specifically, like sometimes there's a struggle where you have those kids that are coming in late and it drives you crazy, and you're like, we need to be on time, and not that we need to have an incentive for everything, but I do think like having Manie going on is a great way for students to realize, oh shoot, if I'm not at class, I'm missing out on voting at the beginning of my class. Oh, I'm missing out on playing the Roxxem whack a word. You know, this is like one of those activities where a student will say, "Can I go to the washroom after this?"
Yeah.
Right? They don't want to go right then; they want to go after. So it's just the timing of it. It doesn't need to be your whole period, and yet it still is so useful in terms of your planning of your time in class to get students there, to keep them engaged, and then also to have it as a back pocket tool at any point to say, hey, let's extend by doing these activities. But yeah, the actual content
Absolutely.
itself, I wouldn't say I'm spending more than 20 minutes a day until I get into that like chunk of like, okay, here's we want to really dive into this. But the vocab and things that they're engaging on their own with, I'll bring up into different activities, which is also cool. I know I don't want to keep going on and on, but one thing that I also want to mention that worked really, really well, is just like you can whatever content you're doing within your course naturally, tons of way to integrate this, right? Like you'll find a song where you're like, oh, okay, this kind of relates to a course content thing I'm doing right now. One thing that happened last year when I was teaching French immersion is we were doing like a debate unit where they have to use persuasive language. And so I just thought, you know what? Like they've done all this language stuff and work on these songs. Let's have them like use some of their learning here. And now they have to pitch a song that should be in Manie next year or Roxham's French tournament next year. And so, like, just being creative and being willing to think about, okay, what am I doing right now? I don't need to fully shift and do a whole new unit that's Manie, right? I can integrate this naturally. And I think if teachers are thinking that way, like, it's not as daunting to be like, oh, I have to put aside this unit that I love to make the time for this. You can integrate it naturally.
No, I love that. And yeah, I love I definitely echo all the things that you've mentioned. We hear a lot about teachers saying, yeah, we start with whack word every single class, and that has encouraged my students to come to class in time. Because yeah, once the game starts, they don't want to miss it, and that's really a fun way to kind of start the class off with some high energy. Great. Any last words in terms of how Roxham has helped in terms of learning, engagement in your classrooms?
Um, I think to just wrap up, I'll say I have some really fun classes right now, and I think we all can relate to having some characters that are like gonna be funny. But it brings so much joy when you hear like students are purposely, even if it's in a joking way, like integrating vocab into what they're saying, right? And so like you'll hear them naturally like try to say one of the words they just learned, or maybe yesterday they learned a word and they incorporate it into a sentence and they look over at me like did he pick up on me using that word? So I just want to say that like it's fun, it's engaging, which is huge. You need that as a teacher, I think. But also like I love that you said, Sean, that at the beginning the focus is also like learning, language acquisition, and so it's not just the fun side of things that like makes me love this app. It's that I know also students are learning and taking away something from this as well. So that's kind of how I'd wrap up my thinking on
Absolutely.
Roxanne and Manny.
Well, thanks so much, Brandon. I'm just going to wrap up with just a few more slides here. We'll cover and we'll kind of finish up this podcast for us. Um, so, as mentioned, there's a bunch of activities that are free, a bunch of activities that do require the Roxham subscription, including the slides, the contests, the homework assignments. In terms of next steps for you as a teacher, as Brandon has been chatting, really decide the level of participation that you want, how you want to ease into it, your pre-planning weeks ahead of the tournament, and then how much time you plan to invest during class periods. Build the hype, watch the videos, play the songs. That's always and of course communicate the tournament to your students of what's coming up and what's really exciting. And if you are choosing to participate in the Roxxem contest, definitely start preparing your classroom. Create the class, which only takes a few minutes, roster them, and we'll be able to get that set up and registered for all of our student and classroom tournaments. So this is our subscription information. We are running a 25% discount for Manie teachers. That amounts to $44.99 a year for all teachers. Again, if due to budgetary or other reasons, this is not it for you. Roxxem is completely free when it comes to the songs and games, and we'd love to continue having you on our platform and your students learning. And that is it for today. So, Brandon, really appreciate your time. Really appreciate you joining us and your insights. I think a lot of teachers will find it really helpful, especially kind of coming from a Manie pro. So thank you for your time. And thank you, everyone, for joining in our webinar.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And yeah, thanks for this. Has been awesome.